I grew up in a small ski town in Colorado. The ski town is dubbed, it's dubbed Ski Town USA. It's Steamboat Springs, Colorado. And as you can tell by the name, the majority of my friends grew up skiing. I loved skiing, but I enjoyed hockey even more. I loved getting out there on the rink and playing games and having a good time. And the kind of what derived my passion for the game was competition. So then that kind of started to snowball my path. And where my path took me was, I'm gonna cut out a lot of those early years, but it ended up taking me to the University of Denver, and I was fortunate enough to win a national championship there. We were the best team in college hockey for 2 seasons there, and that's an experience that I will cherish forever. It was not only amazing to be able to claim that I was on a team that was the best in the world, but also to have my schooling paid for. It was mentioned that we have some people that are potentially going in that direction in the golf world. And I was presented with an opportunity after 3 seasons to take my childhood dream to become a professional hockey player. And so I jumped at that opportunity, and I was, like I said, I was able to sign with the Anaheim Ducks. I played 2 seasons in Anaheim in the farm system there, and then I was traded with, I'll say a name. I was traded with Chris Pronger for 5 players. It was one of the biggest, if not biggest, trade in the past, I'd say 20 years in the NHL. So like I said, it was the 2 of us for 5 players. It was a landslide trade, and that's something that I'll really cherish when telling my grandchildren about my early years in the hockey world. Now, I want to talk about kind of going in different directions and forks in the road. And I played preseason NHL games. I never made it full time to the NHL. And for the longest time, I was kind of down on the hockey world, and I really didn't. I felt like something was missing. I felt like I was not getting the most opportunity, maybe as the guy sitting next to me in the room. And like I said, I was down on hockey, and then I'm going to stop myself for a second. My last season playing in North America, I had 2 20-day road trips. My now wife was living with me at the time, and like I said, I left her at home for 20 days at a time, twice, and I just kind of was second guessing myself in my career. Maybe thought that I should fall back on my business degree and take from that experience. And at that point in time, I decided to create something new. We have, obviously, well, I say it's obvious, but I don't know if you guys know, it's the winter months are basically the time that the hockey season derives. And we have a lot of free time in the summer. So I kind of had that epiphany. What am I going to do next? How am I going to use this? How am I going to use my education? What direction am I going to go? And then I kind of light bulb went off and said, I'm going to start my own business. What do I know? I know hockey. I know hockey really well, and I know how to work with kids. Both of my parents are teachers, so I kind of pulled from all different angles, and I started my own hockey company. So that hockey company I have a camp. I have a hockey camp, a training session from. I target 7-year-old kids, and the oldest man that I have in my camp is 65. Obviously, they're not all in one group. But I'm able to work with different people and share the knowledge that I've gained throughout the past 30 some odd years that I've gained through those adventures. So then, as I said, that's my off season. But then I got the call from a team in Italy saying, you could come over here, see the world, still get paid playing the sport that you love, and the thing that was best of all was that I got to spend the night in my own bed every single night. And like I said, I was on 2 20-day road trips the year before. I said, where do I sign up? I've never been to Italy. I want to go to Italy. This could be cool. So I went to Italy the next year, and it was spectacular. It was so rejuvenating to my career, for my love of the sport. As I said, I was down on hockey. It was kind of I wanted that next opportunity, and I didn't feel that I got that for the NHL. But I felt right now today I can stand up here and look you in the eye and say that this was a blessing in disguise, because now I've been able to live in Scotland. I know it doesn't sound that cool to you guys, but I can say that I've lived in Scotland, I've lived in Italy, I've traveled to Germany, Austria, all of these different cool countries that I never would have been able to see before. One thing that I've really stuck to is the more I gave to the game gave back to me. It's paid for my education. It's also paid for me to travel the world, and now travel the world with my wife. I had a kid last year in Fife, so we're always gonna have some tie to this community. So that's been really special, and it's been a great ride. Now I'm going to continue to so I'll kind of wrap that up. I played in Italy for 4 seasons. We loved it so much. We had such a great time, but we knew that was the end to that era. We were ready to move on, and the Flyers contacted me 2 seasons ago and said that they were interested in me bringing my talents to the Fife Ice Arena, and I couldn't be happier with my decision to come here. I have to be honest, it's great to speak English rather than having to battle my way through the Italian language. So that was a different, interesting experience, but it's been fun to speak English. It's also been fun to live in a different country, and I truly have to say that living in these different countries is such a different experience than just going to visit them. When you go and visit these countries, it's kind of you're grabbing at a little taste of the culture, but when you're living there, you're really engulfing yourself in the everyday lifestyle. So that's been spectacular. Like I said, I couldn't be more enthusiastic about where my path has taken me. Now, that's going to transition me into the everyday lifestyle that I have to live. As I said, I've played professional hockey now for 10 years. And that's kind of the duration of a professional hockey player's career really isn't that long. I've been fortunate enough to tweak some things here and there, but specifically I'm going to transition this into eating healthy and eating right. I have realized that was the most important thing, is to treat my body almost like a vehicle, a car. You put the fuel in, and then you're going to get out what you put in. Now, I'm not sitting here and telling you that I don't cheat and have some crisps and some sweeties every once in a while, but I definitely have. I have figured out what time of day I need to eat, specifically on game days or the night before. What types of foods I need to eat for me to perform the best. And that's not saying that other guys on our team have to eat the exact same way that I do, but I figured it out exactly how my body works the best. I'll touch on it a little bit. I eat 7 hours before a match, and then I'll have a little bit of a snack 3 hours before. And we got the guys in charge of all this stuff, so I don't want to say anything wrong here. But for me, I feel like I'm not, and I'll stuff myself the 7 hours before, and that way I have enough time to digest without feeling bloated or kind of lethargic on the ice when I'm playing the 7 hours later. But then I'm having that little snack to kind of trick my body to telling my body that I'm full at that time. So that's kind of where I am today, and this is where I am. Thanks for listening to me ramble on. I know that I saw some of you guys have not been to a hockey game. I don't know if all of you guys even know what hockey is beyond these couple of clips. But afterwards, if you guys want to come up here, we brought the basic essentials to the sport. We brought some skates, a stick, and a puck. And if you guys want to come up here and mess around with them or whatever afterwards, feel free to and touch them and see what they feel like.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks for listening to me, guys.
We're going to open up for some questions in a minute. Hopefully they won't be too hostile.
Yeah, no.
A couple of questions from me. I'm reliably informed by my colleague that each team has an enforcer. Is that true?
You think that's me?
Is it true? Could you give us a wee description of what an enforcer is?
Okay, so that's a good question. Our team specifically does not have an enforcer. It's a choice by the coaching staff and the management. Now, I talked about my travels in Italy and my playing in that league. Fighting is not legal in the Italian league, and I saw some of the most ridiculous plays and almost I'm drawing a blank on the right word, but plays that you wouldn't make if that enforcer, if that sheriff weren't there.
Go and just describe, just to give us an insight into the game, that the tactical elements of the game. Maybe
so obviously you hear the word enforcer, and that's can be used as an intimidation. I use the word sheriff as well. It can be a person that will go around the ice, and if you do something kind of beyond the unwritten code, then they'll come in and lay a smackdown. So our team has chosen to go a different direction. We like to use the word team toughness, and that's not necessarily one individual going around, but kind of standing up as a unit, as a wall, and standing up for each other in that sense. So tactically speaking, there are a couple of different directions, but our team specifically doesn't have a one enforcer.
And just staying on the tactical theme, could you give us an insight into sort of positional?
Yep. There's at any given time, give or take, there are 6 players on the ice. There are 3 forwards. You practice. I'm a forward, and you practice in those lines of 3. So that way you find tendencies of one another. You kind of know different plays specifically. Off of face-offs is the starting point, and that way you can kind of position yourself and you know where you're going to go from there. Now on the defensive side, there's a defensive pairing that's on the ice, and they work along those same lines. They'll change on and off the ice together. They will specifically know, tactically speaking, off of draws, off of face-offs. They'll know where one another are going. They work well together. They complement each other. The lines of 3 and the defensive pairings can definitely be changed, and that's all up to the coaching staff. And then to cap it off, we have a goalie on the ice the majority of the time. Like I said, there are situations that you don't necessarily have all 5 guys. If a penalty is called, then you'll be shorthanded, and then you'll have a set of 2 forwards and a set of 2D, and then a goalie. So for the most part, you have a line of 3 defensive pairings and a goalie.
And there seems to be a lot of interchanges. So what influences the?
Yeah, and that's a very good question. There are a typical shift is right around a minute and a half, and if you're to the untrained eye, you wouldn't pick up on that because you're focusing on the actual the puck, which this is what we're trying to score, put in the net and pass around. And we're trained all the way from 5 years old to not change when you could hinder your team's performance or give up an opportunity against, or you're finding guys away from the puck, away from the play. So if you're up in the stands watching and you'll see the play moving around, you won't really see guys changing, but you can will change around it. But you try to stick within the set of 3 forwards, the 2D. So, like I said, it's a typical shift is about a minute and a half.
You talked briefly about going to college and the springboard that gave. What about getting to college? What sort of volume of time and effort and intensity was required as a young 5-year-old grown up?
Definitely. So that was really important to me. If you guys can't tell, I'm not the biggest guy in the world, and playing professionally wasn't necessarily something that I thought was possible. I played the game for the love of the game. I played the game because it was fun and I was good at it, but I never thought that I was good enough to play professionally, or I thought that I could. It just never occurred to me. And like I said before, both my parents are teachers, so education was important to me and my family. And along the way, along my years in youth hockey, I was approached by the University of Denver, and they offered me a scholarship. And of course, the day that it was presented to me, I jumped at that opportunity, and that was a spectacular experience for me. And like I said, I'm drawing from that continually, specifically with my business. And you have to think, I'm 32 years old right now. My career is coming to an end. Not really sure how far along. I would like to reevaluate where I am after every season, if I feel like I'm still contributing and I can still be a factor in games. But that I have a long life ahead of me, hopefully, and then I obviously have to go draw elsewhere. So specifically from my studies in university will help me in that world.
Obviously, there's a great emphasis at the moment in food and nutrition, and certainly from the hospitality side, we're getting challenged more about our knowledge of nutrition and food.
Yeah.
And as a professional sportsman, that's something that's key for you. Has that always been the case? Have you always taken care of what you're putting into your body? You said before, it's like an engine. You have to feed it well. Has that always been the case?
It's funny that we keep returning to my university experience, because before that, it was just kind of a free-for-all. You throw whatever in your body. You have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, or you have macaroni and cheese, and you don't even really think about it. I feel that I was very fortunate enough to get to the current to university without having any knowledge about my health or any side of that world. But once I got to university, we had long talks, discussions. We had nutritionists come in and talk to us. We had buffets set up every single game day in university, and so we couldn't even really pick any bad things to put into our body. But it was, like I said, it was emphasized that this is how you have to eat, and that's how I picked up my timing and when I eat on game days, and eating so far in advance seems ridiculous, and there's no way I have to be starving come game time. But I have, like I said, over the course of 15 years now, I've really trained my body to get the most out of that fuel and use that energy properly.
So you're aware of the nutrients and the food and what they give. So you plan your diet around that?
Absolutely, and I know some players get sick of eating the same thing. I have one pregame meal that I have every single game day, and I have for the past 10 years. So every game we play a 62 some odd game season. So I'm having the exact same meal at 7 hours before the game 62 times a year. And I probably don't touch pasta for the rest of the months, the 4 months that I'm away from here. But I feel that I get the most out of it, and my body digests specifically what I'm eating, and I'm eating pasta and chicken and salad.
So carbohydrates.
Yeah,
both.
exactly.
So Italy was great then?
Italy was fantastic. It was, I I mean, the best pasta and wine in the world. So that was, I always joked when I signed here that I'm trading the best pasta and wine for scotch and haggis. So
maybe want to open up to some questions from the audience then. Lorraine, I know you'll be too shy because you're a huge fan. Yes.
I have a question. Do you think that if you stayed in the North America and the minors, you'd have a shot?
No, that's interesting. I always talked about, I got a great opportunity.
Some players stay there, or you said you've been there 2 years?
So I played 4 seasons in North America. I played, if I had to do it again, I would have signed with a team in this, I would have signed with a team that wasn't as good. I signed with the Stanley Cup champions. They obviously had a very deep roster, good enough to be the best in the entire world. The next year, when I was in Philadelphia, they got second, they got runner-up, and then my 4th year, I was with Vancouver, and they got second. So all 3 NHL teams, all 4 seasons I was over there, I was on either the 1st or 2nd place team, and that world's tricky because you never want to wish poorly upon any other players, specifically in your organization, but that's the only way you're going to get an opportunity is if a guy gets injured, if a guy performs poorly, and then you're going to get that next opportunity. Just so happens I didn't get that opportunity or I didn't perform at the right times. And to answer your question, that's a long-winded answer. I'm very happy with where I am right now. You know, like I said along my talk earlier, is I've been able to travel the world. If it weren't for the path that I decided to go to Italy, I wouldn't have been able to live there for 4 years. I wouldn't have been able to live in Scotland for 2 years, and I'm very, very thankful for my travels since then.
What else? Go, Mike.
I've been to a few hockey games and really enjoyed them. It seems to be a lot of email flow. But the game itself seems to be dominated. It's the way that people can get into the game.
You know, I can't really speak for in Scotland as a whole. There is a huge push for women's hockey in stateside in North America and Canada, and it's huge. Specifically in the youth world, but also in the university, and that's something that I do hope. I can't speak for the UK as a whole, but I really do hope that becomes the norm, specifically because it's such a great sport. I kind of speak to it as a chess match. I kind of describe it as a chess match. There's a lot of thinking rather than just run and gun, and you really have to be able to think on your feet, and there is a lot more of finesse to it, not just the run or the bruisers and the enforcers. And that's why women's hockey is a beautiful sport, and it really is. It's really cool. I wish that it was a little bit bigger. I can't speak to the youth and the push in the Scottish youth on that side of things.
Someone else? Yes.
Roughly how much water do you have to drink in a day, especially on game day?
I drink a ton of water. I have, there's a lot. I don't count. I drink when I'm thirsty, and almost more than you would think. I pretty much drink continually throughout the day, and specifically on game days, it's almost tough to keep as hydrated as I would like to be on road trips. As you saw, we traveled down to Cardiff, so we're on the bus for 7 hours, and you're not really you're not able to hydrate as much as you would like. But it's almost to the point where you're needing to go to the bathroom all the time, and it's annoying, but it is. I know it's hugely important because we are sweating so much during games. You know, it's in a cold facility, and as a spectator, you don't realize how hot it is for the players. But it is such a draining sport that you really do have to make sure that you have those fluids. I also replenish my fluids and the electrolytes throughout the game with powders and stuff during the game, because I can't. There's just no way to continue to have that hydration on a regular through just water.
Someone else? Right the very back.
Second with the 15 on a game day, how many meals would you? You're saying you've got like 1 to 7 hours before the match, but before that. So
before that, and this is, I don't want to say that everybody eats this same way. For what I've figured out is best for me is I've had oatmeal on game days since I was 10 years old. It was just something clearly it must have been something my parents instilled in my head that was a good, healthy start to the day, and I've always just kind of gone in that direction. Like I said, since I was probably 10 years old, I've had oatmeal just when I wake up. I'll have a banana, and then I'll walk around, kind of stretch the legs, and then just to kind of get out of the house and not be cooped up all day. And I'm talking about home games now. And then I'll go back and eat my really big meal 7 hours before, and then I'll have a quick little snack. I'll have a banana, I'll have an orange, and a jam sandwich, and it's just to get the sugars in my body, and then I won't have anything until after the game, and that's right around 10:30 at night, and then I'll have another meal after that. So we're looking at 4 meals, but some are stacked more with the size of the quantity of my meal.
You say you have a huge meal, so what do you class as a huge portion?
You would be disgusted if you saw the amount that I mean, I'm talking a normal plate this size, and I'll have a mound of pasta this, like we're talking this big, yeah, and it's stuffing myself to the gills. And I won't be able to eat any more, but it is in order through the ATP process, gathering all of that nutrition and energy from that meal. It's obviously a low burning, pasta is a low burning caloric intake. So there I'm pulling from that and then storing it in my energy bank, and then so it's a lot, and my wife laughs at me every single day. She sees the amount of pasta that I come out with, but it seems to be working, so I'm going to stick with it.
Have you ever been in many fights?
I have been in 5 professional fights.
Did you win?
I didn't lose. I never lost a fight, but I wouldn't say I ever won one.
Last season?
No, none this season.
What happens if you do get in there? Do you get banned?
It all depends on what's happening. It all depends. Yeah. So it's only a 5-minute penalty. They'll give you 5 each guy that's involved in the rough stuff, 5 minutes each, and then you go and sit in the penalty box for 5 minutes, and then you're right back on the ice. So unless something was, I think that you can get. There are a couple of different things that you can get.
You get match bans and stuff?
You can, absolutely. If you get an instigator, if you instigate a fight, if you kind of chase somebody down under, yeah, exactly, and then I think under 2 minutes or under 5 minutes or something. I'm foggy on those rules, but it's you can definitely get match penalties for that. Yeah.
When you're training, do you use like protein shakes and vitamins?
So I will use, I specifically do. I'll have a protein shake after I work out. Beyond our on-ice training, I try to get to the gym and work out twice a week. I'll work out lower body one day and upper body another day. And after those, I have to get protein in me and right away within the half hour of me doing that exercise. So I'll do that right away after those, and then I'll also after games, specifically because games are significantly more depleting than a training session. So I'll have a protein shake after a game as well.
Obviously, see maybe you live in Scotland and there's a lot of takeaways and stuff. Do you ever have a off day, you know, like to Chinese?
Yeah, I had Chinese food on Monday night. You know, that's which one do I prefer? Oh, you know what? I pride myself. I don't dislike any food. I really enjoy all different cuisines. I like cuisines from all over the world. My favorite though is Mexican food. I absolutely love Mexican food. We have the best Mexican food in Colorado. So that's the one thing that I really do miss. Do I have cheat days? Absolutely. Do I crave some of the other stuff? Definitely. I have pretty much a month after the season of eating and doing whatever the heck I want. And it's just to kind of let my head go and just recuperate and just kind of lounge and binge. And that's really nice. But then I have to so I said I have 4 months off in the summers. We're here for 8 months, and then we're back on. So I have 4 months in the summers, and I basically have 1 month off, and then I'm back to work and start preparing for the next season.
How long do you see yourself in Scotland?
It's funny you say that. I was out to dinner with my wife last night, and we had that conversation, and it was. I like it here. Like I said, we have ties here. Our son was born here, and I really do enjoy the culture. I love this part of the world. It's beautiful. However long, right now we're taking it a year at a time, so I can't say 5 years, 10 years, but as of right now, we really enjoy where we are right now. Yeah.
I guess your favorite team is Colorado.
If I had to choose, I would say Colorado.
And who's your favorite player?
Okay, so that's I was going to continue off of your first question. Where I am in my professional career, I don't follow one team specifically. I have many friends in the NHL, and I like to see their successes, and I like to follow individuals versus teams. Player growing up, are you familiar with hockey?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So I've modeled my game the way I play right now after Chris Drury, who's an American-born player. He was the captain of Team USA a couple of years ago. Now is retired, but he went to Boston University, and I really enjoyed how he played. I liked the career path that he chose, obviously going to university. One thing that I've left out is there's another career path, and that's to go directly to the NHL. And there are players that do that, but the path that I chose was the university way, and specifically because you can't play hockey forever, and education was important to me, and I really enjoyed Chris Drury's path, and that has shaped the player and the person that I am today.
Any other questions? Okay. Oh, one.
Sorry, I just want to know, like, obviously you spoke a lot about carbohydrates and that, but on a non-game day, how much you plate is going to be carbs and how much is fat and
Yeah. Fortunately, I have a wife that pays attention to that stuff. I eat a lot healthier now after being married, but I burn so many calories that I don't really have to focus on the fats and the carbohydrates and that stuff, which is fortunate. But typically on a Monday, we play on Saturdays and Sundays, and so our Monday is our day off. And typically on a Monday, I just won't worry too much about, that'll be kind of my cheat day. And like I said, I had Chinese food on Monday, and it's just like, okay, whatever's there, and I'll eat to kind of replenish. but not worry too much, and then kind of get back to basics on during the week on a Tuesday or what have you. And I'll have I really, more than looking at specific fats and carbohydrates and kind of that blend, I really pride myself in eating fresh food and a lot of fruits and vegetables. I go to giving a shout out to the Buffalo Farm over in Kirkcaldy, and I get fresh eggs specifically from them. I eat a lot of eggs in the mornings. I get all of my chicken. It's all organic and cage-free chickens, and so I really like all of that fresh and non-preservative type of foods. And so if I'm going to the grocery store, that's specifically what I'm looking for, rather than specifics, fats, and proteins and stuff. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite Scottish dish?
Wow. I'm pretty keen on fish and chips, and that's pretty much the staple. That's the staple. I've tried haggis 3 times, and I'm sorry if some of you guys like it. I thought it was terrible. The haggis, I'll speak on the haggis a little bit. The sausage, the cased version, I really don't like. The loose version was significantly better, but it's not something that I'm going to have on a regular basis.
Okay, any last questions? Nope. I'm minded to our sport and golf students had a visit to the Dundee Academy of Sport just before Christmas, and their staff were talking about their career paths, how they set off on one trajectory and just took advantage of opportunities that came up. It sounds, very much that you've pursued a career, but different things have come along, and it's
absolutely. I'm glad that you brought that up. I have made it the furthest. I talked about my hometown and being a ski town, and the focus is skiing, and hockey is my world in my hometown. I have made it the furthest. I'm the only one to play professionally from my hometown, and so whenever younger players that have potential are showing signs of potential, their parents come to me and ask questions, and that's something that I really reiterate in those conversations. Is it's important to have goals. It's important to see the future and where you want to put yourself, but you can't be so dead set on one final goal. It can't be, I'm going to play for the Colorado Avalanche and that's it. It's taking advantage of your opportunities along the way and being open to those different doors. And if a door closes, don't be too frustrated if you have an end result that you're striving for, because there are different paths that will take you there.
Okay, can we thank Ryan in the usual way? Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.